Hi everyone, welcome back to another SmugMug Live. I'm Alistair Jolly, your host from SmugMug and Flickr. It's delighted to have you back here for another episode. It's been a busy week. We've done quite a few already this week and I have a few more to go. So thank you to everybody who's been joining me and keeping me company for these shows. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget, here on YouTube to hit the subscribe button so that you get to see all the shows that we're releasing and hit that little bell notification. That way you'll be notified every time we release a new episode. I would also ask, give me a shout out in the comments. Let me know who's joining us in the comments. That's always fun to see the comments come in. Let us know what part of the world you're joining from. That's always fun. You know, we've had people from all over the world so far joining these shows. So I'll give you a shout out and we'll see who's maybe furthest travelled to watch us live on YouTube today. That would be fun. And yeah, post questions there as well. Our guest today would love to have as many difficult conversations and questions as possible. I'm only joking. So today's host is someone who's a dear friend of mine, and I've known him for a good number of years now, and he's an amazing wedding photographer. And I asked him if he would join us today to give us a little bit of chat and a little bit of guidance at these times. So I'm delighted that we're joined this evening by, I know I say this evening, it could be morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, but as you can probably tell from my accent, I'm based here in Scotland at the moment. But today we are joined by my dear friend, Brett Florens. Let me see if Brett is on the line. Are you there, Brett? Let me just find you. There you are.
Yeah.
Hi. Good evening to you in the Netherlands, sir.
So Amsterdam, beautiful day here in Amsterdam. Yeah. Nice to hear your friendly Scottish accent. I'm sure that when you ask people to subscribe, they'll do it just because of the accent. So there you go.
Well, actually, I thought it was you that had the accent, dude. It's not me.
Here we go.
If anybody on this call has an accent, it's definitely you today, that's for sure. But yeah, thank you for joining me. It feels like a long time since we've had the pleasure of being together, sir. Yes. It was almost kind of this time last year we were having lunch in Amsterdam on a canal, but it seems like a long, long time ago. How are you? Are you keeping well?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very good. A lot has happened over the last few months, and I think that as everybody knows, it's never going to be the same again. But it's some really cool new opportunities as well. I mean, look what you guys are doing. The photographic community is loving your SmugMug Live sessions, and I think that people are adapting and coming up with new, ingenious ways of trying to eke out a living from what we do for a passion. So it's challenging times to say the least.
But you're doing okay, and you're currently in Amsterdam, yeah?
Yeah. I'm in Amsterdam at the moment, so we're on an intelligent lockdown.
Yeah,
that's what they're calling it. Where just basically behave yourself, and we have a saying here in Dutch. It's "doe normaal." It's just be normal. Just
are
you
ever normal in Amsterdam? I'm sorry, come on. of all the places in the world, you know.
Yeah.
The funny thing is when this the situation we're currently in kind of all kicked off, I was talking to you and you weren't in Amsterdam, right? You were in South Africa.
Yeah. I actually made it out. I was there for a wedding, for two weddings, 2 workshops, and when they called the lockdown, my flight was from Johannesburg, and I was in Durban at the time. Very long story short, I caught the very last plane out of South Africa with 55 minutes to spare before the full lockdown. And in South Africa, the lockdown is quite intense. From tomorrow, they're lifting it a little bit. It's not going to be much of a change, but I don't know if any of the people watching right now are in South Africa, but they're basically coming out of a 5-week very intense lockdown, no alcohol, no cigarettes, no exercise, it's pretty hectic. But our president has been given a lot of praise and respect, especially from organizations such as WHO. He must be doing something right for people to start respecting him the way they have.
Yeah, man, you lost me at the no alcohol, but that must be that must be tough. We definitely have people tuned in from South Africa at the moment, and the States. So yeah, we obviously hope that wherever you are in the world, you are safe and well at the moment. But only a few weeks ago, I was on a call with Brett as he was frantically trying to get home to his family, and it would really have sucked to have got stuck in South Africa and being away from your family, but to have no alcohol, man, jeez.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit of my history. So the no alcohol thing wouldn't bother me, but the no exercise thing that would bother me. I know that you stalk me on Strava, and if anyone out there is an athletic enthusiast, then go to Strava and follow Alistair. He will show you how he keeps his finely tuned athletic machine of a body in the shape that it is.
Sorry, I think you have me confused with someone else today.
I've seen you with all your cycling, mate.
Yeah, I mean you're quite the serious runner. I'm certainly more in the cycling world and love to cycle indoors and outdoors, mostly indoors at the moment. But you're quite the endurance athlete though, right? You like the long distance running.
Yeah, that kind of happened by default. Basically I was an alcoholic, and that's the truth. And I went on the program, and I've been sober since 1996, the 11th of January. So yeah, we're sitting on nearly 20 something years, 24, 25 years of being sober. But essentially with my addictive personality, I switched alcohol for running. And yeah, I'm addicted to those endorphins. Yeah. So
well, congratulations. Sorry for making fun about having no alcohol, but yeah, I'm glad you've switched.
I'm so cool about it, mate. It really makes no difference in my life. It's a personal journey, and yeah, we've all got stories. The more I speak to people, the more I learn about people's hardships and how they've struggled to get to where they've got to. And a lot of times people think that it just, especially when you are in a position that I am now, where I get to have an audience like you're giving me now, which is fantastic. But people that haven't heard about me or seen me speak before, they might have an assumption that it all happened instantly, but it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of hours, and everyone's got a story. So
absolutely.
Especially from just to talk very briefly about that, because I know we need to get on to more serious things. But things like Gordon Ramsay. This being a Scot. I read his autobiography. Man, that guy didn't just suddenly become a chef. He worked so hard and sacrificed so much and came from so little, that's one of the best autobiographies I've ever read, Not that I've read many, but yeah.
Won't be as good as yours though. That's for sure. So tell us, the cliff notes, the very quick elevator pitch of who Brett Florens is, because obviously you're in Amsterdam, but with the South African accent, you can clear up.
So essentially, and in my presentation, and I've gone dark, but anyway, we'll sort that out. In my presentation, you'll see one or two slides talking about how I started and my beginnings. But essentially, I was a policeman during apartheid. In the late 80s, early 90s, and I was a policeman for 7 years in total through conscription. So it was forced military training. And I think that's probably where a lot of how I live my life came, in terms of my structure and how I approach my business. Mm-hmm. I was a policeman, and one day they decided that they needed a photographer. I was in the riot unit, so we dealt with really hectic, politically motivated crimes and township violence and a lot of murders. And I've seen I've seen dead people. I've seen a lot of dead people at too young an age. And essentially, they said, we need a photographer. We're starting a unit within the riot unit. Who wants to be a photographer? And nobody volunteered. And to cut a very long story short, they picked me, and I was the photographer. So I actually don't really have that much of an interest in photography. It became something that I realized that I could make money from, and I started selling pictures to the newspapers. And by doing that, I worked out that this was my way out of being a policeman. I knew I wasn't going to be a policeman for the rest of my life. Policemen earn very, very, very little money. So I'm used to struggling. I'm used to eating popcorn and drinking filter coffee for, from the 6th of the month onwards. So yeah, essentially, if they needed a chef, today I'd be a chef. If they needed a mechanic, today I would be a mechanic. So it was literally,
it chose you.
Yeah. But when you say that, I think because when I shoot, I honestly, I just know what to do. But when I teach and when I do things like this, I find it so much more rewarding than actually shooting, because I've got the opportunity to influence someone's life. Tonight I might say something that somebody might implement, and even if it's only one person, if they implement what I say and it makes their business better, I've changed somebody's life. And I know that sounds deep, but when I was at my lowest point, smoking dope every single day, being blind drunk every single day, at my lowest point, I made a promise to whoever you believe in, a higher being, and it was really just a very simple, if you can help me through this crisis that I'm having, I will dedicate the rest of my life to being a force of change for good in the world. And photography is it's a cool job, but it doesn't feed my soul. This kind of thing here is so cool for me we all want to be heard, right? And to be in a position people want to hear what I've got to say is just such a privilege.
Well, it's it's an interesting one, and thank you for sharing all that. And everybody hung up when you said you weren't born to be a photographer, to be honest.
Well,
but that's an interesting one, because so many of us say, this is my passion, this is what I was meant to be. But you certainly come at it from the business side of it, and now you've found your passion, which is the kind of teaching side of that and stuff. So no regrets. The journey has been worth it.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. It's a nice job to have. I don't dislike it. I don't dislike it because if you want to talk about hard work and that's digging rocks underground, 3 kilometers underground for $20 a day. That's hard work. But for me, it's a really cool job to have. But doing this kind of thing really lights that fire in my belly.
Well, thank you for sharing all that. And, we want to give people watching the opportunity to hear some of the advice that you have. So we're going to get into a little presentation from Brett, and we're going to share screens with him, and he's going to give us a little presentation and share some words of wisdom. We spoke in the kind of lead up to this about it being how to, approach marketing slightly different, seeing as we're in such different times. So shall we get on with it and let the people hear what you have to say? Let me just check that your screen is sharing. Let's see. No, your screen is not sharing yet, dude.
Screen's not sharing. Hold on. Start sharing. There we go.
That's the one. Hit all the
Good?
buttons.
Yeah, we good?
Yeah. Let me just move that over there. Just moving your picture-in-picture. We are good. So I will let you get on with your presentation. Thank you so much for preparing this for us today, and excited to hear it.
Honestly, it's an absolute pleasure. I've been with SmugMug for 8 years now, and it's to be able to have this reciprocal loyalty and relationships really cool. So I appreciate you giving me an audience as well. I do also want to make a little disclaimer here, because I might say a few things that might ruffle some feathers. So whatever I say is my opinion. It's the way I do business, and it works for me. It might not necessarily work for you and your brand, because I do believe that there are as many unique approaches to wedding photography as there are unique clients. We had the lovely Vanessa Joy on last week or the week before, and
2 weeks ago, yeah.
yeah, she said she shared some amazing tips, which I implemented one or two of them into what I was doing in the last week or so. She has a different approach to her business, and it works for her and the people that she services. Also, the teaching and the workshops that she does. So I'm just offering an alternative solution, and understanding my background, you will understand why I implement these techniques as opposed to your conventional way of marketing. So
Hey, listen, the more controversial you are, the more views I get, and the more clickbait of a title I can create. So
that's what we need, eh? Controversy. All right, here we go.
Okay, your screen is yours.
Buckle up. Okay, so if you don't know who I am, if you've never heard of me, please follow me at Brett Florens on Instagram. I have a little competition with my 16-year-old son as to who can get more followers, and any help would be greatly appreciated. So, okay, so also I have a gift for everyone. If you just go to brettflorens.com/gift, you can download one of 4 of my tutorials. They are a little bit older than my new stuff, but they're still very relevant. But you're more than welcome to help yourself to that. brettflorens.com/gift.
That's awesome. I'll make sure I put that link in the show notes as well, so that
Thank
people
you, mate.
can, or if they rewatch it, they'll see it. So that's awesome. Thank you for that.
All right, cool, no worries. Okay, so generally, you have a few traditional types of marketing for your brand. You've got print advertising, which less and less people or fewer and fewer people are doing. That's magazine advertising, maybe in newspapers, the yellow pages. I don't know if anyone ever remembers the yellow pages. And then obviously you've got your electronic media, you've got your website, your social media, and then physical bridal shows where you actually go to a bridal show, stand there with a stand, and let people come and see you, have a chat, interact with you, and perhaps make some bookings. And then you've got word of mouth. And a lot of people think that word of mouth is the best form of advertising for your brand. I'm going to tell you that I feel it's one of the worst forms of advertising, and I will tell you why in a few moments. When we all start as wedding photographers, generally you see that you're pretty good at photography, and somebody might ask you to photograph their wedding, which is exactly the same way that I started with wedding photography. And my story is a little bit different to other people in terms of conventionality. I literally would be photographing dead bodies at 3 o'clock in the morning. We were shooting film at the time, and I still have all my negatives. And literally, I would be shooting, I'd take my roll of film, because we had roll of 36 exposure, and it would be dead body, dead body, dead body, bride getting ready on the same roll of film. So understanding that when I first started, I started shooting for friends and family, just like most people do. And my friends and family at the time were my police colleagues. And this is the very first wedding that I ever shot. His name was Sergeant Spies, and we were great mates. And he was a colleague. He wouldn't have asked me to shoot his wedding if he didn't know me personally. So in the beginning, I know that a lot of people feel that targeting friends and family is going to be the best way to get into the industry. But the problem with targeting friends and family is they are very similar to you, because generally we hang out with people that are similar to us, similar interests. We eat at the same restaurants, we like the same movies, we read the same books, we dress the same, all that kind of thing, which means that they don't have money either. And once you start getting into a certain target market demographic, if you've got rich friends and you are born into privilege, that's fantastic. Shoot for friends and family. I was a policeman. My friends were not rich. My family was not rich. I needed to understand. I mean, here's a picture of me when I was 18 years old. This is 1992 or something like that. I was in a place called Gamalake, which is down in Port Shepstone, and I was having a whale of a time. It was long ago, and a lot of different priorities. Carefree, and I didn't have the pressures of having a mortgage and all that kind of stuff that I do today.
Dude,
but
you haven't changed a bit. You look exactly the same.
I think it's the teeth, mate. I think it's the teeth. Anyway, so understanding, and I've learned from teaching all over the world. I mean, I've chatted at WPPI. I've spoken at Photo Plus in New York, in SWPP, the photography show where I met you in Birmingham. And what I realized is that in Europe and in the States, there's a very big middle class. I know that there are very rich people, and there are there are people with less disposable income, people that don't have any money, but the majority, there's a very big middle class. So when you shoot for your friends and family, it can kind of work out. I'm talking to people who want to target a target market client who has more disposable income than them. Now, I'm just going to guess that you're watching this because business isn't exactly booming for you right now. If your wedding photography business was flying and you earned so much money it didn't matter, you really wouldn't be wasting your time listening to me on this broadcast. So you are watching this because you want to change something in your business, which will ultimately lead to increased sales and a better target market client, a better client that has that has a better dress and better makeup and has a wedding at a better venue, which makes it a lot easier for you, in fact. But the problem is really, how do you get into those circles? How do you elevate your brand so that it's not attractive to people that like what you like? Because what you have to understand is that people with more disposable income than you lead a different lifestyle. They watch different films, they read different books. So visually, they see the world differently. And if I had to just show you graphically and just to start to talk about how marketing in different sectors works, these are a few aerial photographs. They're not mine. A few aerial photographs just showing the difference between less privileged areas and more privileged areas. So this is a shot from South Africa where you've got a section of brush that is separating shacks or shanties from estate living. Here is another one, and you can see basically you've got a high condensation of people and then people that live in a bit more space. There's some really cool photographs online where you can find images like this. This one here is from Brazil, and this one's fascinating to me. I mean, every single apartment has its own swimming pool, but right next, and the people are playing tennis, and right next door you've got these people that just live in absolute poverty. So what I worked out and what I tried to start to understand is that people that have less disposable income perhaps live in a house like this, where there's no fence. I could walk up to the door, I could knock on the door. There's a much bigger sense of community in areas with less money. People talk to each other, people share ideas. There's a sense of camaraderie in more impoverished areas. So people share information. As soon as you start to move into areas where people have more disposable income, suddenly the fences start to go up, the walls start to go up, and it's very difficult to get into those fortresses, if I could say. And it's a similar situation trying to penetrate a market that is elevated from the market that you're currently targeting. So in terms of this conversation, I don't want you to try to target, if we had to say on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the most wealthy and 0 not. I don't want everyone to suddenly try to target, people that are 9s and 10s. I want you if you're targeting 4s at the moment because you're a 4, I want you to try and target a 6 and research how a person living in a 6 sort of category, what that person likes and the imagery that they that resonates with them. So understanding that to target a market that is more elevated than the market you're targeting, you have to do things differently. And having a great website and having great social media, it might get you a lot of attention with your friends and family, but people with more disposable income will look at your site and your post and the people that you're shooting for now and instinctively know that you don't service their demographic. So even if you have great style and great imagery in terms of the target market demographic that you're currently serving, people with more disposable income won't necessarily be attracted to your work. So I changed my style from what I liked to what my target market client likes. And I did that by basically researching how people with more disposable income than me lived. So I would buy Vogue magazine, Vanity Fair, Harper's Bazaar, look at those images and then shoot wedding images like those for my target market client. And they love them. It doesn't matter if I don't like them because I'm not my client. You have to understand that you are not your target market. Once you start to realize that, it becomes a lot easier in terms of trying to elevate your brand. So, how do we get in? We get in through the service entrance because targeting the trade instead of targeting the actual client. So when you do your marketing, if you're doing print marketing, your social media, bridal shows, word of mouth, that marketing is all directed towards the client. But the problem with targeting your client is that the client is only in the industry for a very short period of time. They're only on the lookout for photographers for a very short period of time. Whereas people in the trade, the other vendors, the other suppliers, and I know in the States they don't use the word suppliers, that means something else, but the other vendors in the industry, they're going to be there for a very long time. So if I invest in targeting the trade with my marketing, I've got much more longevity when it comes to my brand in terms of the investment that I put in to making the trade my target market. So understanding that being industry approved holds so much more water than word of mouth. Because if you have to start looking at the fact that your target market client might have a wedding coordinator, or they go to a really cool florist, or they go to a really good wedding gown designer, they trust those people because they have employed them to design the wedding dress, make the cake, do the makeup, be the wedding coordinator. And people buy from people that they trust. So if I can get people in the industry to recommend me, then I'm piggybacking on the trust built from that other supplier, from that other vendor. Now, just to put that back to your alcohol analogy, okay, so we've established I don't drink alcohol, but let's say, for example,
Are you saying I drink all the alcohol in this?
Well, I've got a picture of you in the next slide. No, I'm joking. Okay, so I don't drink alcohol. I'm going to go to a friend's house who I know is a wine lover. I'm going out to dinner, and I've got, let's just say, $30 to spend on a bottle of wine. I'd like to impress this person. I'm not going to ask my peers for their advice in terms of which wine I should buy to impress my friend, or to buy a bottle of wine that my friend would like. I go to the friendly wine merchant and I ask somebody in the industry, I have $30 to spend on a bottle of wine. If you had $30 to spend on a bottle of wine, which bottle of wine would you recommend? And whatever bottle of wine he recommends, I'm going to buy because I trust him. The reason I trust him is because he's behind the counter. I don't want to talk to anyone on this side of the counter. I want to talk to somebody on that side of the counter. So understanding that industry approved is a lot more, you have a lot more credibility than word of mouth where you're hearing things from other people's friends. So if we have to look at a graph like this in terms of just trust and credibility, your credibility is going to be brought about through your imagery and your website and all of that kind of stuff. You're in control of that. It's the trust element that is the more difficult part. So getting trust, building up a name for yourself is key to getting yourself into the zone where you are +1 with the trust and +1 with the credibility. You could have great credibility, a great website, but no trust, and now you're sitting on 0, or great trust and no credibility, then you're sitting on 0 as well, or -1 and -1, which is really not where you want to be. So I target the trade. I get people in the industry to recommend me and to get clients to trust the fact that I will give them the best service. So this lady, she's a wedding consultant at the Oyster Box. Now the Oyster Box is a 5-star wedding venue in South Africa, and for me personally, I shoot most of my South African weddings at the Oyster Box, and it's really, honestly, it's because of Jenny. Now she writes to her clients. I just wanted to mention that Brett Florens is possibly the best wedding photographer in South Africa. He is quite simply the Rolls-Royce of photographers. Now, if I had to say that, people would say how arrogant I am and how conceited and all that kind of stuff. But if somebody else is saying it, it's much, much more credible. So I have other people in the industry singing my praises and recommending me, even other photographers doing the same thing. I've built up relationship with so many photographers, and this photographer specifically, Kim, she recommends all her overflow work to me, and I am reciprocal when I can be. So understanding that the whole industry in terms of relationships is so much more important than spending a lot of money on your traditional forms of marketing. So when I am at a wedding, I obviously service this wedding is quite a high-end wedding, and this lady is the florist, and this is exactly what I saw when I went to go and shoot some decor shots. She had been working really, really hard, and there she is taking pictures of the decor and the flowers that she had prepared. And I said to her, please, can I quickly just take a picture of you taking the shot there? And is there any way you can email me the picture that you have just shot? And she sent me that. Now, if you look at the top left-hand corner, there is her finger, and that's the shot that she shot. Now, I'm not going to laugh at her photography skills because my floral skills are not that great, but I shot these, and then I make it a point to get these images to her to make sure that she has marketing material that she can use to put on her website, on her social media, on her print brochures, whatever she has to do. Makeup artist does the same thing. This is the shot that the makeup artist takes. I go in there and I shoot images like that specifically for the makeup artist. When I get to a wedding, and I hope none of my clients are watching right now, but obviously I'm going to do my best to make sure that the clients get great images and have a wonderful experience. But for me, it's more important that I get images for all the other vendors in the industry. These are the kinds of shots that I would give her. And what I do is I send them to them through my SmugMug account. What I do is I take every single image that I want them to have, and I do 3 or 4 folders. I do a Facebook folder, I do an Instagram folder, I do a folder without branding, and then I've got another one where if I shoot a wedding, a video for them. So here, this is their Facebook folder. This is for the makeup artist now, right? So you can see that I've put my logo in the right place, and she can download those images. If she wanted to buy prints, she could. I'm linked up to Loxley Color in Europe. I know in the States, SmugMug has many labs that they are affiliated with, but I put in Loxley Color's products, and if she wanted to buy wall art or whatever, then she can do that for her business. But other than that, I use it as my digital delivery platform. So she could download these if she wanted to. These are for Facebook. These are for Instagram, and you can see I've made them square, and I've put my logo into the right place. And then here, I don't know if people know this, but you can send video via SmugMug as well. So I send her a video that I've made. When I shoot a wedding, I shoot with the Nikon D850 in general, but I have the Z6 or the Z6 in the States, and I shoot video of other vendors working. I don't shoot video of the bride and groom. All I do is shoot video of the other vendors working, that I can make them a really cool video where I drop in my images, and I've given them multimedia that they can use for their advertising. So what I'm going to have to do here now is unplug my mic so that you can hear what's going on through here. But this is the type of video that I would shoot for a makeup artist. I rip her logo off the internet, and I put together a video, and this is exactly the type of video that I would make for other vendors at that particular wedding. Okay. So very quickly, I just have to change my preferences so that my...
Get your audio back in the right place. Yeah, that's cool.
Right, any comments, any questions so far, mate?
No, we're doing okay. A few shouts out from people around the world. It's interesting. We have someone watching from Edinburgh, which is very close to me, and we have quite a few shouts out from South Africa, Pretoria, and other places. So thank you, everyone. And someone from Riley from NC. I think that might be North Carolina. So yeah, multinational audience. So.
I know who that. Oh no, that's not from. Okay, the North Carolina is somebody else that. I'm going to be speaking about soon, but she's not in North Carolina right now. Okay, so if I make it as easy as possible for other players in the industry to share my work, I can then piggyback on their following. I mean, this dress designer here from India shot an Indian wedding, 914,000 followers. I've got 18.8, and hopefully after tonight 18.9. But 914,000 followers. If I can get my work onto his platform, it's going to be so much better for me. But I also need to box clever. I need to size the images correctly so that when they put them up on their page, you can see my name and my logo. So this is his Instagram feed, and you can see bottom left and bottom right. I've given them images with the logos in the right place, and they, uploaded. And those two images are the most liked images that I have ever had in my history as a photographer. And it's not even on my page, which I'm cool about. It doesn't have to be on my page, but I'm piggybacking on that person's success. And they're going to mention me as well. Thank you to @Brett Florens for these great pictures, or whatever, that kind of thing. So understanding how vitally important it is to have the discipline to make sure that every single vendor that is involved in the wedding gets their images and gets what they need to promote their business, because that's like super, super important for me. Not more important than the bride and groom, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close.
I love how we're all in the same industry, but some of the language we use is so different. Here in the UK, we would call all the vendors suppliers too, suppliers at a wedding. But yeah, definitely vendors is a very US term.
Because suppliers is a drug dealer in the States.
Yeah, well, here too, but
Oh, I don't know about that.
Allegedly. Yeah, Brett, do me a favor. Just slide your cursor off the side of the screen a little bit. It's kind of.
Where is it?
It's just in the middle. Just slide it to the left.
I can't even see it, mate.
There you go. We're good.
We good? Okay. So you can see here that the dress designer has given me a mention and a shout out. Now, whether I get a booking from that or not, or a few more followers or not, at least I'm putting my hat in the ring. I'm allowing myself the opportunity to piggyback onto this person's success. What I've even done in the past, depending on how important I think the other vendor is in the industry, or supplier is in the industry, I did a wedding with in Dubai, which was one of the best weddings that I've ever shot. And the dress designer was a Sydney dress designer. His name was, still is, Stephen Khalil. And I actually made an album for him and couriered it directly to him so that it sits in his showroom or in his space when his target market, his demographic goes to. And understanding that people who want a Stephen Khalil dress, that is their main priority. They'll go there first before they book their photographer. So while they're sitting waiting for a dress, there's a coffee table book with the designer's dress in it, and I'm just going to go through the album. Again, I've ripped the logo from the internet. The dress designer doesn't know I'm doing this. I just put it all together, and it's all to showcase the dress. And obviously my photography, but it's more of a soft sell. So I'll send this to the designer. It just lands, it just arrives at his door, and there's not much chance that they're going to throw it into the garbage. They're not going to throw it in the bin. At least it'll be in the studio for a couple of days, which allows me the opportunity to get my work in front of the eyes of people that pay him bucket loads of money to design dresses for him, for them. So I put my logo at the end, and off it goes. Now, to me, the capital outlay for that is, let's just call it $300 or $400. If I had to spend $300 on a print ad, would I get my return on investment as much as if I had an album in a designer's store? That kind of thing.
Incredible to think that these dress designers can have 1 million followers. It's incredible,
mate. It's unbelievable. It's yeah, and they're not cheap. It's yeah. All it's yeah. It is. Yeah, I mean, in the UK, You've got some great designers as well. And what I've done as well is when I go to bridal shows, I don't go to bridal shows necessarily to book clients. I go to bridal shows to make friends with other people in the industry. You know, and I did that with Suzanne Neville, a dress designer. You know, I've specifically booked my space behind. I saw that there was a free space. I was like, yes, I'm in. Just behind Suzanne Neville. So Suzanne Neville was behind me, and I mean, she's one of the best designers in the UK. And all I made sure I did for the 3 days is if I went on a tea break or a coffee break, I saw the first day she had a cup of tea with a slice of lemon, and I recognized that, a little bit of a Dale Carnegie trick. Make sure that you look for details. And I saw that she drank, you know, just green tea with lemon. And the next morning I just went and I got a green tea with lemon. I said, "Hi, Suzanne, here's a cup of tea for you." And that's all, without trying too hard. You know, it's not a hard sell. It's got to be, for me personally, it's got to be a bit more of a soft sell. And she lent me dresses to go and shoot in Dubai. And I'll show you some of those images in a second. I'm going to play this video. I don't know if you can hear the sound. You don't have to, but it's quite long, so I'm not going to go all the way through it. But this is an album that I made for the Oyster Box, where I took my top 5 weddings from the Oyster Box, and I've made a physical album that sits on Ginny's desk, and when people come to see her, she shows them that album. Also, I've put this online. And given her a private link, like I've put it on Vimeo, and I've given her a private link. And whenever she has a client, she will then send them the link to the video to show them what weddings at the Oyster Box are like. And then obviously subliminally, wow, these pictures are nice. Who's the photographer? And happy days. You know, it's that kind of marketing that I do that works really well for me specifically. You know.
Indeed. So
this is the shot that I did for Suzanne Neville in the Dubai desert, and I literally went out there. I was in transit from Amsterdam to go and shoot a wedding in Durban, and I just spent one night in Dubai. Made sure that I found a nice model. Went out into the desert, and we did a couple of shots there. If you look at the bottom left-hand corner of that image, it says Suzanne Neville, and that's her logo. Suzanne Neville by Brett Florens. I had a massive, when I say massive, I don't know what size it is in inches, but in centimeters, probably like a 60 by 80. So it's not really massive, but a decent size framed image, printed and framed beautifully. And I sent it to their showroom in London, and I got, okay, so let me just 2 steps back. Obviously, they share it on their platform, and I get attention there. And then I sent it to them, and it just arrived. And I get this email from Catherine, who's the global head of PR and marketing. Thank you so much for the picture. What a lovely surprise. We'll definitely put it up in one of our shops. You know, and for me, that opportunity to be in front of her target market is just priceless. I also do, in the States, you call them vendor cards. In South Africa, in the UK, we call them, you know, suppliers cards, where it's like an A5, so it's 15 by 20 centimeters, 6 by 8 inches, on really nice paper, and it's basically a brochure for the Oyster Box for them to give and put into their little party pack that they give to the brides that come to see them, prospective clients. Now, when I send images to dress designers, florists, makeup artists, hairdressers, wedding venues, I get such nice emails back. Thank you so much for sending me the pictures from Tanya's wedding. I really like it. Most photographers don't do that. I know it says, "Hi, Samantha," but Samantha's my secretary. We have to make it look like we're running an empire here. And over here again, from Debbie and Greg's wedding. Dear Samantha, thank you so much for the photograph. She looks so happy, beautiful bride. We always take our own photos, but we are unable to always see the bride, so it was a bonus to receive him. Deirdre is going to recommend me whether or not I'm a great photographer, it's in Deirdre's interests to recommend me because she will get photographs from me. She knows that. This gentleman sent me an email. Hi there, my fiance and I went for a cake tasting at Pop Cakes yesterday. When discussing photographers, the lady who owns Pop Cakes mentioned your name and she said your photography is phenomenal. Now, I'm getting recommended by people. I've honestly never even heard of Pop Cakes. So people in the industry are talking about me and recommending me. Much more effective than friends and family recommending me. Florists using my images in their print advertising. Again, wedding coordinators using my imagery in their print advertising. It's another one in the print advertising. I also make Facebook covers. I make it as easy as possible for the supplier to just take that image and put it straight up on Facebook. I get the dimensions of a Facebook cover. I take the DJ's logo from being online, and I say David Yap, who's the name of the DJ, at Top Jocks, images created by Brett Florens. This is another one I did for Daniel Israel, and I think this picture must be 6 or 7 years old, and I think to this day that is still Daniel Israel's profile picture. So that's how much these people value it, and I don't understand why other photographers are not doing the same thing.
Can I ask a couple of questions that we've got coming in that are relevant to what you're talking about just now?
Say that again, mate.
Can I ask a couple of questions that are relevant to what you're talking about just now?
You want to know if I get permission from the bride and groom to send them?
You're reading the questions too. Yeah.
No, I'm not. I promise you I'm not. I promise.
Yeah, Lungi asks, hi Brett, how do you navigate the issue of model release regarding sending photos to suppliers stroke vendors? So yeah.
Okay, so I send an email to the bride and groom and I say to them, it was so nice photographing your wedding. I know that a lot of the vendors might be asking you for pictures, so I've taken the liberty of taking that worry off your hands, and I will send those images to the vendors for you. This is a list of the people that I think that you would like. This is a list of people that I think that you would like to send pictures to, and then that would be a list of hair and makeup, jewelry, all of those. Are there any other people that you would also like me to send to? Bang, happy days.
Let's go. And you also knew what that question was going to be before you asked it there, Lindy. So thank you. I'm sure it's come up before. Let's see, another question. Someone was asking Dion, who's in South Africa, I think he's in Pretoria, from DW Photography, asks, do you ask the brides for referrals as a marketing tool?
Okay, this might ruffle some feathers. I don't ask the brides for referrals generally because I target very high-end clients, and the more high-end the client gets, the more a wedding becomes competition. And what you find is that if she, I don't know how to say this, I'm just going to say it. She's not going to tell her friends about you because she doesn't want her friends to know about you. She wants to have you all to herself. It's a case of very simply, if she had this gorgeous dress and her friend says to her, oh my gosh, you look amazing in that dress. Where did you get that dress? She'll be like, oh, I can't remember. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whereas people in the middle market or the lower end of the market, they'll be like, oh, you can get it at this place. And at the moment they're on 2 for 1, you know? So the higher you go up on the social scale, the more difficult it is to target your marketing towards the bride. You know, you will get like her very close circles. You'll get her sister, her best friend. Those people you might be able to get weddings off of them. But I also have other tricks and techniques, like the same day slideshow. That's one of the best ways to target people at the wedding, because if you have a same day slideshow, you put your images up and all her friends who are also rich see your images and see your service and see your brand, and you know, it's so much better for you. So yeah, I use sneaky ways like that with the same day slideshow to target her friends. But the chances of her, you think I just shot this most amazing wedding for the perfect client, she's going to go and tell everyone about me. Not so
necessarily.
fast. No.
Awesome. Thanks for answering those questions. I'll keep them coming as they're relevant to the
All right, cool.
to the part of the presentation. But even if I don't get to your question, we'll hopefully have time at the end to throw in some questions before Brett finishes.
Yeah, I'm not that far away. I'm 10, 15 minutes. Maybe.
No, there's no rush. We're all loving it.
Oh, there's no rush. You know me, mate. We can talk for days. Yeah.
Well, we're stuck.
Right,
Let's talk.
Okay, so giving them a Facebook cover, obviously they're going to put it up straight away because it's so easy for them to put up. And yeah, granted that this venue might only, in terms of this day and age, 1,450 likes. That's not such a big deal. But those people are absolutely 100% my perfect target market client. So I don't need 10 million people to see my work. I need 100 of the right people to see my work. So it's much more important for me that the vendors and the suppliers push my brand because they've got the trust element that I need. I've got the credibility, they've got the trust element as well. So this image over here, I had a really, this was from a real wedding. I had a nice big acrylic image printed, and I sent it to the florist. Obviously, she hasn't put it up yet, but she sent me a picture to say thank you so much. That's for me, that's so rewarding. And I know that she sees my name every single day. So if somebody asks for a recommendation for a photographer, that cost me, in terms of referrals, it cost me the price of an acrylic. And every single time she gets asked, I'm the one that she recommends. Now, you could take that one step further and utilize your talents by understanding that perhaps Ginny from the Oyster Box, perhaps she doesn't necessarily want pictures. I mean, it's nice for her to get pictures and a nice album and all that kind of thing, but I need to now cement my relationship. I need to take it one step further by doing things for them on a lot more personal scale in terms of things like family photographs. You're a photographer, you're servicing an industry, makeup artists, florists, hairdressers, all those people have similar lives to you. We service people who have much more disposable income than us. So I know that Carolyn, the florist here, she doesn't have bucket loads of disposable income to have family photographs taken. So I said to her, Carolyn, I'm shooting down at the beach on Sunday. If you're available, I have a free slot between 10 and 10:30. I wasn't shooting family photographs at the beach with other people. I did it specifically to photograph her family because I know how important family is to her. So I shoot photographs for her family. That's her husband and her little girl. And I send her the pictures and say, oh, it was lovely. There you go. And obviously I've got my logo on it as well. And she sent me the email back. Brett, you've just made my day. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. These are magical. Thank you, Brett. It's truly an honor to work and interact with you this past week. Thank you for your time, your professionalism, and the gift of your art. It has been a pleasure. Come on. How easy is it for me? I'm not diminishing the fact that it's valuable to her, but for me, I can do this in my sleep. It's like brushing my teeth. It's so easy for us to utilize what we have, and what we don't understand is that people value our photography much more than we ever could have imagined. So if you have weddings already and you're heading in the right direction in terms of target market, this is the way you do it to cement relationships. But a lot of people will be like, oh, well, that's cool, but Brett just shoots high-end weddings. I didn't always shoot high-end weddings. I've just told you that I shot a lot for many, many years. I shot for friends and family. For 10 years, I shot for friends and family. And I was shooting like 50, 60 weddings a year and hardly making any money. You know, I always use the analogy, it's like eating soup with a fork. You're very, very busy, but you're still hungry. So I realized at some stage, I cannot carry on like this. And then I started to implement techniques that allowed me to alienate my existing target market, because that is so important when it comes to understanding that you don't want the clients that you currently have. Again, you wouldn't be watching this if business was booming. So you want better clients. So what you need to do now is alienate your current target market, but you still must be attractive to a new target market. Now, how do you do that if you're not shooting weddings for a more affluent target market? And the way to do that is to collaborate on styled shoots. Now, I moved to Amsterdam 6.5, 7 years ago. No friends, no family, no job. How do I get into the industry here, especially at a high level? I don't want to be shooting for the middle market. I want to be shooting for people with disposable income. So how do I do that? So what I do is I go to, and I look a lot younger here because this was a while ago, but here I find the florist who everyone's talking about. I find the makeup artist that everyone's talking about, and I tell them I'd like to do a style shoot collaboration. If they are not interested, then I might employ them as a makeup artist or hairdresser. What's your half-day rate, or what's your rate for one face? And I will employ them to make up my model, and I will give them images in return. So either I can pay them physically, or I can not physically, pay them financially, or I can pay them with images, or a combination of both. So what I would do here is the florist, the dress designer, the makeup artist, the model, the venue, they all got together and we all said, okay, we're going to just contribute our time and our expertise. And I shot this image, which I specifically used for my advertising. This was quite a while ago. I think it was like maybe 8 or 10 years ago that I specifically shot to use for my advertising at a bridal fair. Now, when you're on a styled shoot, you've got a makeup artist that you've given carte blanche to, which allows her to express herself and create work that she wants to create. She's not being dictated to by a client. Same as the florist. And that then gives yourself more chance of them using those images in their advertising, because it shows their own creative freedom or expression. So I just want to tell you a little bit about a young lady in Florida who I am mentoring at the moment. She doesn't need it anymore, but I'll keep on mentoring her. I hope she's not listening right now. I think she might be. But Yulia Panchenko.
Oh, she is watching. She gave us a shout out earlier. Hi, Yulia.
Yeah, Yulia, you still need a lot more mentoring. This young lady, she has been phenomenal. She took every single thing that I told her to do, and she did it verbatim, which for me, I was the discipline that she had was so impressive. She moved from North Carolina to Orlando, I think it's about 1.5 years ago. And when she started doing what I told her to do, she said to me, look, Brett, I've just arrived in Orlando. In North Carolina, business was booming. I was good. Everything was fine. I come here, no contacts, no friends, no, just like I was in Amsterdam. And she started doing styled shoots just like I told her. And I said to her, go down to the local florist. Say to the florist, find a florist that's in the industry that services the right target market demographic. Go to her, tell her you want to do a styled shoot. These are the ideas that I have. Get a dress, get a model, get a makeup artist, film the whole thing, make it behind the scenes, do all of that kind of thing. And that's your assignment for the next month. And she came back to me and she was like, oh, the florist doesn't want to, contribute because they don't know who I am. And it's like, okay, find another florist. So she went on to 3 or 4 florists. Eventually, she had to pay she paid for the flowers. She didn't pay for the labor, but she paid for the flowers. She paid the makeup artist, and I'm not sure the arrangement that she had with the model. But I'm going to show you 2 videos right now. So I'm going to take out my mic. I'm going to show you 2 videos right now. The first one is the very first one that she shot, and then the second one, I saw her in New York at Photo Plus, and I said to her, "Are you going to shoot the destination shoot here for your weddings?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, great idea." And literally within 2 or 3 days, because of her experience that she had gained from shooting this one, she put together a shoot. I think it's Brooklyn Bridge. I'm not sure. The purists might tell me that I'm wrong, but it was one of the bridges in New York, and she did this video, this behind the scenes video. Now, granted, it's kind of like an inner circle thing we've got going on here, because if you look at this video here, she had a lot of time. She produced some great images. In New York, it was freezing cold, and you can see that the videographer did a really good job in terms of making something look like it was happening where there was very little happening. She only had like an hour to shoot, and it was freezing cold, and she produced an absolute masterpiece. So I'm going to show you 2 videos. They're only about a minute each, but let's have a look at what we've got here.
Do you see the beauty in the pieces and the process? Do you see the magic? There's time, preparation, and instruction. There's creativity, inspiration, and transformation. And knowing precisely when to click. There's movement, there's energy, and there's perfectly timed chaos. It takes an eye for vision to bring something to life. It takes faith that fantasy can become reality. And working together, the pieces fall perfectly into place. Now, take a closer look, because the details are where you'll find the magic.
Brett, can I just comment that it's always difficult to stream video when we're live streaming? So it was fine, but it's just not as perfect as watching it natively, obviously. But it is always difficult to stream a video over live stream. But it's coming across okay. But can you just slide your cursor off the screen as well?
Okay, sorry. Okay, so the next one, I know my audio is not great now, but the next one I know is a little shorter, and I think people get the gist of it. And if you want to, go and check out her work on her YouTube or her Instagram. But just the one from New York is pretty impressive. Hold on a sec. I get too deep sometimes in my own head. I'm such a fabric to find a common thread. Got caught up in the hustle, forgot to love. Woke up in the rubble to a light from above. Racing to the end of the earth. I know I'm falling out first, but I'm gonna be the last one standing. I ain't gonna dream just a landing. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire. And I'm never burning out. Never burning Okay, so
That was great. I love Yulia. I love the fact you have your branding on the back of the camera strap, and that way everybody at the wedding gets to know who you are. Okay.
right, we should be back on now with audio.
Yep, we can hear you. Yep.
Okay, fantastic. So, well, right, we want to move from there. So, within 1 year, within 1 year of doing this, I think she did 3 styled shoots in total, or maybe 4. She's got to the point now where she never pays for anything in terms of the people wanting to do styled shoots with her, because she's got this collateral that she can utilize. And she became a Ellen Crom ambassador, because what she's done is basically do all their marketing for them. For them to go out and make a video like that would cost them $10,000, $15,000. She's done it for them. She's been proactive. She never phoned them and said, "Hi there, my name is Julia. I'd like to be a Nikon ambassador." She put stuff up like this. She tagged everyone. In the first video, she made videos for the makeup artist separately. So she's got her own video. Then she's got one for Nikon, one for Ellen Crom, one for the florist, one for the dresses, and one for the makeup artist. The same thing with the New York one. And if you're going to have a look at her stuff, she was here in Amsterdam. We did a shoot on the canals. And every time you do a styled shoot, I've just done one on my Instagram TV, if you're going to have a look there. Whenever I'm at a wedding, I will say, I'll take the Z6 and I'll make sure that if I'm using my Ellen Crom flashes, I get my assistant to film me setting it up, or to film me shooting so then I can then make short little video clips and send them to Ellen Crom. So now we're starting to think a little bit bigger than only vendors and suppliers. Now we're starting to think about camera manufacturers, photographic. I mean, the whole SmugMug thing too as well. When I did my my video in Dubai, I put together this behind the scenes, and I show you me uploading video images to SmugMug and sending them off and that kind of thing. So I make it as easy for the marketing person of Ellen Crom as possible, almost to the point where they can't help using your imagery or your branding or your content for their marketing. So she became an Ellen Crom ambassador and was asked to speak at an international fair for Nikon. So specifically on styled shoots. I'm like, hey, I told her about that. But I mean, for me, it's pretty cool that she's getting the glory for this, because she put in all the hard work. I mean, I just gave her the info, but she did the hard work. Now, Vogue Bride is posting this. This is April 14th. Now, this shoot was over a year ago, but now she's starting to send her stuff to the right places. Bride Vogue, who have hundreds of thousands of followers, she sends us on April 14th. Best bridal shoot we have seen till today by Yulia Panchenko. Ellen Crom use her stuff again there. They put up a video on the Ellen Crom page. Bride Vogue using images again. Now this gets so much trust, credibility, that now her wedding photography business is booming. She's got another another business for boudoir photography, and that's booming. And it's really because she targeted the trade. She entered a new target market demographic and targeted the trade. So,
well, it's beautiful work, and Yulia, congratulations. But it's not all one-sided praise today. She did send a lovely message saying Brett is a great photographer and an amazing mentor. So there you go. Thanks, Yulia, for that shout, so we can embarrass him live on the stream.
Well, that I appreciate that, Yulia. But she did what she was told to do, and in terms of getting the right people to do the collaboration with her is really, really important. So, all I did was give her the information. So we're not going to pat each other on the back too much longer, but I'm just showing you that someone can go from absolutely nothing, and I mean that with the most respect, Julia, I'm talking about you going to a new town. I mean, you had a business in North Carolina, but when you went to Orlando, you basically were starting from scratch. And to go in 1 year from pretty much having no business in your own hometown to being an Ellen Crom ambassador, an international convention speaker for Nikon, and it shows you that doing it through the tradesman's entrance can be a lot more effective. So I do have one or two tips with regards to right now, because so many of us, and I think this might be a bit controversial, I think that as wedding photographers, we're in a better position than event photographers or sports photographers because our work has been postponed. I've had one or two jobs canceled, but not as many as event photographers or sports photographers. But if I look at the fact that my workshops, my weddings, they've all been postponed. So it will come at some stage. It's what you do now that's going to make a difference for when the doors open again. So use this time. And I do understand that some people are saying, I've got kids at home, I've got to do homeschooling, things have changed, I'm out of my comfort zone. But just in terms of one example, look at how much screen time you spend on Facebook. 2 or 3 hours on Facebook a day. Rather utilize that time to connect with vendors or to learn, to do new courses online. You can do free courses. I mean, people are spending their time listening to me right now. If you can make those sacrifices, and it is so important that you do, because what you do now is going to count. In terms of our lives changing and businesses being incinerated or understand that it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. So get your head in the game and have the discipline to set certain amounts of time per day to either learn something or to do things like this. Right now, all the other vendors in the industry, they are all hungry for content because they are also looking at redoing they've got time on their hands and they want to redo their website. They want to redo Facebook. They want to redo Instagram. I'm not spending my time doing my Facebook stuff, my Instagram, my website. I haven't done anything on my website. I've made sure that other people in the industry have got my content for when they redo their website, so that it just cements my relationships with people in the industry, and it enables me to be ready for when the doors open again. And people say that they don't have the time, but if you have to look at what the consequences are, what are your other options? If you don't find the time, what are the options? The options is it's going to be way, way worse for you. So this is a matter of survival. This is when it's going to really, really count. And understanding that also looking at things like, it sounds like a lecture, also things like, you can build a habit in 21 days. Now, South Africa, we've been in lockdown for 5 weeks. Other countries have been in lockdown for longer. If you can form a good habit now of doing things like this, take 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day to do something that you weren't doing before, it's going to be so much better for you when the doors open again. So what I've done during this time, and I'm going to use Jenny as an example again, I know for a fact that she stays at home with her mum. Her mum is elderly, and she's looking after her mum. And I know that she walks her dog. She used to walk her dog a lot. And I realized that she's probably quite lonely at home right now. So I phone her. I say, hi, Jenny, how are you doing? And just chatting, nothing about work, nothing. I'm phoning her as a friend. And she said to me, Brett, you're the only person that's phoned me outside of her son or her grandchildren, or she said, you're the only person from the industry that's phoned me. And I was like, wow, why aren't people doing that? not with ulterior motives, because I really do care about her. I mean, when I'm in Durban, we go out to lunch, but I am doing it in a roundabout way to cement my relationship, because I know which side my bread is buttered, and if I keep that relationship healthy, then it's going to be so much better for me when things go back together. She sends me a beautiful WhatsApp message. How lovely of you to phone today, Brett. Lovely to catch up. Take care and give my very best wishes to Andrea. Chat soon, and I'll send snippets of news from back here. Stay safe. And that's how you build relationships. And, you know, another thing that you can do, we've got so many amazing images that represent hope and lights at the end of the tunnel. And one of my favorite photographers in the UK, a photographer by the name of Andy Mack, I loved what he put up on his Facebook, where he put, keep each other close and look towards lighter, brighter times. They will come, sending you and yours lots of love. Nothing about here, I've got a special and I've got discounts and I've got all of this. Just a nice, happy, uplifting image. And I thought that was really, really cool. And we've got these images that can bring happiness and joy and hope to people. So utilize them. Go through your archives. Go through images that you shot. I mean, I've been doing this like for 25 years. I've got lots of images and archives. I'm going to share one little secret with you, which maybe I shouldn't, but I was sharing images from like 2006, 2007, and people were writing on my Instagram, "Oh, I really love your new work, Brett." And I'm like, okay, you know, you're really getting much better. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I've started sharing a bit more of the new stuff as well. But yeah, you know, go through your archive, share images that you can, and please, guys, utilize this time to either learn something new or to educate somebody else, and then implement what you have learned, or implement what you've seen on a podcast, a webcast like this, you know. And you know, I saw a quote the other day that said, "Action is the bridge between your vision and results." So it's pointless just watching this and then going, "Okay, that's fine," and then going back to your life without actually implementing what you've learned. So, you know, I think that these are challenging times. But please, guys, come on! It could be a war. It could be so much more worse. You know, you could be, you know, a refugee fleeing Syria, where your whole house has been obliterated, and you've got no hope. We've still got, you know, if you're watching this, you're in a pretty privileged position. You know, you've got a computer, you've got internet, you've got a roof above your head. You know, times are challenging, but they could be a lot worse. So on that happy note, brettflorens.com/gift. And I know that, Alistair, you were going to be very kind to mention this, but I do have a training platform called thefocallounge.com. And if you use the promo code SmugMug50, you'll get a 50% saving of my membership if you'd like to join on there. Otherwise, just get in touch with me on thefocallounge.com for some one-on-one mentoring if you're keen. And that's pretty much my story. So if you want to go back to sharing just my face there, Alistair, we can have a nice chat and I can answer some questions, or
if you want to
unshare you. All right, let's
get
go
a little
here.
bit of an echo at the moment. I don't know if your microphone's
all right.
not
Let's
quite
have
the right one.
Okay.
While you're playing with that, we did get a nice comment from Andy Mack, who is actually watching tonight, and he says, "Thanks, mate. Really great watching your inspirational advice right now. You've been an inspiration too, Andy." It's interesting. You mentioned in that slide about the last word was implement, and quite clearly, I've been at in lots of presentations by some of the best educators in the world, and a majority of the people in that room will listen, will learn, but they just won't implement it. And quite clearly, your example of Yulia tonight, she implemented it straight away, and look at the difference it made.
It makes such a difference, and I do understand that there's a lot of information that I mean, we're sitting on an hour and a half now, and I had, I don't know, 100 slides. there is a lot of information, but if you have the discipline to make the time and rewatch, or what doesn't have to be me, it could be learning from somebody else, but just take one thing and just decide, I'm going to do that. And if it works, cool. If it doesn't work, nothing lost, you know?
Yeah, indeed. Make sure you implement it. And, you know, Brett skimmed past it, but, you know, I'll do the sales pitch on your behalf. You should go check out thefocallounge.com, and, you know, he's generously given us that great discount of 50% off. There's so much advice there. Brett has so much to give, and obviously at these times we can help support Brett a little bit as well if we go there and check that out. So I would highly recommend you go there. Watch it, learn from it, but most importantly, implement it. Yeah. For sure. Yulia says, didn't expect to hear so much about me from one of the best photographers in the industry. Such an honor. Thanks, Brett. You really changed my life and my career. I mean, this is life-changing stuff. You mentioned it earlier, Brett, about, photography's not the passion, but changing people's life is your passion, and educating people is your passion. So you're definitely having an impact. So
thank you, mate. You know, it really is so fulfilling to be in that position. It's also such a privilege, and I don't. I've got a whole karma. You've known me for a long time, and I've got many OCD personality traits, and one of them is the fact that I believe that if I don't adhere to my end of the bargain, then, you know, something might not necessarily go as well as it is going for me, because I am in an incredibly privileged position of being able to have an audience and a voice, and to be able to help people, in their businesses, because they might, a lot of people just do things in terms of the way they think they should be done, without too much of a thought process behind it, and they do things that that they put work out that they like, and they use advertising frames that phrases that they like. And one of the biggest problems that I've found with photographers is that they create a product that they hope somebody will buy, instead of researching the market and finding out what's missing in the market, and then creating a product that is unique to fulfill that need. And that's the key, because if everyone is doing the same thing, if everyone is shooting in the same style and doing the same presets and the same, they're printing the same album with the same design and all of that, the only differential is price, and then that's a race to the bottom. So you need to be different. You can control your product, you can control your service, but people can copy your product and they can copy your service, but they cannot copy your brand and your personality, and understanding that is the differential. Because people can learn how to shoot like Annie Leibovitz. People can learn how to shoot like Jerry Gionis or Andy Mack or whoever. People can learn how to shoot like that. But it's the way you deal with people, and it's your person. I mean, he's got such a lovely way of, you speak to him, you can't help but like him. Just the way that he speaks to you. So I know that he uses that to connect with his clientele, and understanding that you are the difference in your brand, and leveraging that to make your brand difference is so important. So don't try and be like another photographer. Don't try and shoot like somebody else. Don't try and copy all of their stuff. You need to have a brand that's different, and market research comes into that, and that takes time and energy. And you can hear from the way I approach my business is that I'm not a born creative. So I find it pretty easy to separate myself emotionally from my business. If people don't like my work, I honestly don't care, because they're not my target market. I don't take it personally. I mean, some of my own work I don't necessarily like. As long as my client likes it, it's like a cobbler. Well, now I really sound old. It's like a shoe store.
What's a cobbler? I don't know what a cobbler is, because I'm too young.
Yeah. It's like a shoe store selling a really ugly pair of shoes. It's like, does the salesman really care if he likes those shoes or not? No, as long as he gets the sale, right?
Very true. Very true.
especially in this competitive industry.
Yeah. I'm just looking at how dark we're both getting because it's getting late here in Europe, and
It is, yeah.
Brett did mention at the beginning of this we could talk all night, and if I ever was going to attempt like a 24-hour stream
Oh
for
God.
charity or something, I know the guest I would have join me. It would
I'm
definitely
there,
be
mate.
Brett.
I'm there.
Yeah.
We could talk for days.
We definitely could. Maybe that's an idea. Maybe we could do something for charity on this
that would be
and
cool.
do a 24-hour stream. But listen, lots of people are shouting out in the comments, just saying thank you for the inspiration and thank you for the wise words and true words. And yeah, that's a testament to how valuable what you say is. So thank you everybody for joining us. Most importantly, Brett, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I hope we can get the chance to catch up in person soon. And but if not, if this drags on for months to come, maybe we'll have you back with some more words of wisdom. But I'll say my final thanks to you in a second. But for just now, I'm going to do a little bit of sales pitch for ourselves here at SmugMug.com. Please go over to SmugMug.com and check out all the features that we have to offer you as a website, as a storage platform, as a e-commerce solution for your businesses. I'd also ask to support us here on SmugMug Live. Go subscribe to our channel. Click on the notification bell. That will really help us out and let you be notified whenever we have new guests and new content. Obviously, everything we have recorded over the last few weeks is on the channel, so you can go rewatch streams from some of the great photographers that work with us here at SmugMug. But yeah, Brett, thank you so much for today. I really, really appreciate it. The comments are still coming in, shouting out huge thanks to you from all over the world, from the US to here. Europe. We went through most of the questions as we spoke. I think everybody was really well engrossed, and you did well. Sorry, I did skip one. Someone did ask do you own your own studio? Mila asked if you have your own studio.
I did when I lived in South Africa, but when I left South Africa and I came to Europe, Europe is a lot more equipped for studio for hire.
Yeah.
It's most photographers in Europe or the UK or the States. They might. Well, I'm not speaking for the States. I know in Europe and the UK, you hire a studio, for a half day or a full day, and the client knows that comes as part of the bill. So, they're not expensive, and there's some really cool studios in Amsterdam. And because I travel so much, I generally shoot Amsterdam, in Germany, Italy, France. Everything's so much closer here. And I know for the South Africans, it sounds like, Germany, France. It's not. It's actually from my house to Germany is like a 2.5 hour drive. For me, like in Durban, it's to the Berg. It's that close. So if I'm shooting in different countries, you find a studio for hire in those areas. So yeah, I used to have a studio in Durban before I moved to Amsterdam, but not anymore.
See, that's why we could talk all night. One simple question, and like 5 minutes later, he's still. But it's great. It's great stuff. Thank you for all the comments that are still coming in. Thank you to someone's even mentioned they've already subscribed to the channel, which is awesome. Really, really appreciate that. Here you go. Franz de Winter says, "You are welcome in my studio, Brett." There you go.
Says, there we go. Yeah. Where is the studio?
Franz did mention where he was tuning in from. Let's see. I can't find it. There's too much. So it's all good.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah,
I
cool.
Really appreciate, that's very cool. Thank you so much to everyone.
Indeed.
I understand that it is a sacrifice for other people to, there are many options that people could be listening to right now, and for them to be listening to us on SmugMug Live it's really cool. I really appreciate their time too.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Obviously, you can reach out to me. You'll find me in all the places at Alistair Jolly. And, if you've got questions or ideas of who we should have here on the feed in future, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. But for now, Brett, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Wherever you are in the world, stay safe. And we'll see you on the next feeds. The next one tomorrow is a little one specifically about SmugMug. We're going to do some tips and tricks on our product with some of the team here at SmugMug. And then in next week, we have some more guests. Michael Shaneblum is joining us next week. And we also have the amazing Lara Jade, fashion photographer from the from New York joining us. So yeah, some wonderful things coming up here on the channel. So for now, thank you so much. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.